Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates.
Served your tour of duty that should write. They call it the epilogue. That should write your conclusion. So yes, they did fish, and that's where NRM has weakened itself and its internal processes, because it has invested more time and resources into getting uncooked things from elsewhere instead of growing inside itself the ideological base, and so they fall prey to outside influence. There was no fish they caught, because Anita Mong was not among the first 11 of the party. She wasn't. No, she wasn't. She wasn't even.
You in a contest.
Because she was working for you.
Okay, so if she was working for NRM, it means NRM had more control in FDC.
Like,
FDC itself.
yes, it did.
So in other words, what we have been seeing as FDC is really a fake thing.
No, that's why.
Controlled by NRM, because Anita Mong came with the undefeated her.
Listen,
In
that
1 year.
That story is bigger than what you're saying. And that's exactly what you're suffering inside yourselves.
What is ourselves?
Yourselves. This is why you have,
but
you have the
NRM.
present
I'm
thing.
PLU.
Yeah, that's why you are infecting the NRM. You have carried the same political virus
From?
that you infected
From
us.
FDC.
The Ebola you infected us.
In FDC.
And now you are on stage 4 of cancer, that you have poisoned yourselves. So you have played these rat games, and so the rat has come back to your dining table for serving.
So,
and so
Kabwanjala,
be careful, these games you play, they can backfire.
Well,
And they are backfiring so badly.
as Anita Mong goes through these tribulations, Andrew, how are the power dynamics playing out within the NRM?
Well, for me, I have been thinking, so Anita Mong why did she become such a powerful figure? Because the president, previously, if he needed to pass legislation, he would invite members of parliament to State House, serve them tea, pay their loans, pay their medical bills. He would do so many things. And Museveni was spending 3-4 times more money on the house to get his way. When Anita Mong came in, she
purchased legislation.
Yes.
Rented support.
Yes, rented support. So when Anita Mong came in, her contribution and why she became very powerful, she said, Mr. President, you don't have to do this. I can do it for you. Using maybe 30 or 25% of the money that Museveni was using, she was able to get more than 200-300% results. You see, so she could get more for less. That's what made her powerful, and that's why Kagwanjala. You should leave these little things of the car and all this and focus on what are the big political issues around her issue.
But you see, those are things that are built that power base
those
you're
are,
talking
those
about.
are, you see, there is a Nobel.
This did not happen in a vacuum.
My granddaughter, can you?
No, it didn't happen in a vacuum.
You see why I checked you? It's because you interrupt me. I want a girlfriend who can listen to me. So I was saying, there is a Nobel laureate in economics called Daniel Kahneman. He wrote a book called Noise with some 2 other people. But there is an important point he makes, that whenever you are trying to manage your life or analyze anything, you should avoid noise and look at the signal. So people who are looking at the Rolls Royce, the gorgeous mansions and all this, are focused on noise. I am much more interested in the signal. What is the signal?
Yeah, but the Rolls Royce typifies something.
Well, I think captures the emotions of people, but it misleads our analysis. Because, let me give you an example. Rather, the point I was making earlier. You see, I don't think that in dealing with corruption, we need, the most important thing is how individuals live in luxury and stuff like that. That misleads you to understanding the problem of corruption in Uganda or in poor countries and other countries. The corruption we see in Uganda is, we need to look at corruption as a political resource for elections. Anita Mong's corruption, if maybe 90% of the money that she is alleged to have stolen was not money she stole to buy dresses and build houses. No, it was to buy political support inside NRM. In any case, and that is why I do not know, the Auditor General does audit of Parliament every year. Has there been an audit questioning her expenditure there? You could find out, because
political corruption.
Just for the record,
Political
I know
corruption.
the Auditor General audits Parliament, but the report is classified, it's never discussed on the floor of Parliament.
yes. But
Which
what
is a
you know,
misnomer, actually,
if you went to State House
That's
itself,
part of the political corruption.
Yes.
yes, if you went to State
And
House, you
has
would
been
find
for a
the
long time, not
president.
just
No, it hasn't been for a long time.
For our president to manage
You
this
can
country,
track
President
it.
Museveni, he needs to employ a lot of money. I have told you, this man is not revealing it, but because he's part of it. In Kiangwanzi, these MPs had a meeting. The president gave each one a promise of 100 million each to dust themselves from the election.
Kwekuba konfufu.
Kakati yabawa a million yabiri cash. They have already in the pocket. Tomorrow they have a caucus. They're going to get another 30. That will be 50. When they have elected both will be sacked with another 30. Then he will remain. Why does Museveni get this money? Can he account for it or stuff like that? So I am not interested in how somebody bought better shoes and a better house. What is the role of money in the management of our electoral politics? That is the signal. The rest is noise.
So it's a tale of politics, not money.
There is a book you should read. It's written by Michaela Wrong. Michaela Wrong later disappointed me when she wrote a bad book on Rwanda. But there is something she wrote I read her book in 2000. That's 25 years ago. Many of you were not yet born. So she goes looking for Mobutu's money. Mobutu was alleged to have stolen 9 billion or something. She goes and finally she reaches his bank account in Switzerland and he has, I think, 14 or 24 million he left behind. Now that's a lot of money. But out of 9 billion, so her conclusion is that Mobutu looked at money as a means to an end, the end being power. So a lot of the money is alleged to have stolen was really to buy political support, to bribe off all these powerful Congolese elites, and so that he can hold his power. If you had audited Museveni, you would find that Museveni is a very simple man. He wears simple clothes from night till he and Ginger. Simple shoes, he eats simple food, he lives in a simple house. Museveni is not interested in wearing Louis Vuitton, Dolce & Gabbana, Prada, Brioni. I see Ruto, the president of Kenya, wears Brioni suits which go for $10,000 a suit. So Ruto and Anita are the same. They like luxurious things. But Museveni is different. But yet Museveni uses a lot of money. Why this money gives to State House is how much? The budget is 500 billion at State House. Now that's the residence of the president. Why does he use it for? We need to understand that Museveni looks at money as a political resource to lubricate his politics, as a resource for politics. And if he takes money out of the national till, it is really to manage power relations rather than to indulge himself wearing expensive clothes, driving luxury cars, and living in gorgeous mansions. The problem with Anita Among is, and this is which surprises me, for a person of her political skills, there was that blind spot in her. She did not see that this exhibition of luxury would tint her in the eyes of many people, and therefore give Museveni a rope to hang her.
Is it
and he has used it
naivety or excitement?
Both, naivety and excitement. But you see, another thing is, because I think she's a very smart politician, she could have used the strategy to say, okay, how can I convince Museveni that I'm not a threat to him? Let me have all this luxury around me. Then he knows that he has a rope around my neck anytime he can take me out. In which case, he will not feel threatened.
Well,
and in which that way, that's what she thought, the strategy hasn't worked.
Well, as Anita is being cooked,
but
what is clear is that NRM is not sophisticated enough to manage this crisis, to manage this
What do you
storm.
mean it's not sophisticated? Isn't it being managed
No,
well?
it's now PLU in charge.
But PLU is a part of NRM.
So anyway, I know that the president.
I thought you were also part of us in PLU.
I
If
know-
you are not, tonight I'm going to recruit you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's very important. Do you subscribe
And then
to
you can
PLU?
take my job of Director of Communications in PLU.
Do you subscribe to PLU?
No, at least I'm not, but I deal with them. I deal with PLA people. I engage with their activities, but
You are uncomfortable with their disruption.
I want to say that the president, the way I know him, he gives people chance. And this was something he talks about it anyway, publicly. Says, you make a mistake, you steal money, you do this. I want to reform you. It is only when you fail, like when I fail to reform you, you could be a drunkard, you could be what. But if you deliver for me, I'm willing to be patient. I think Anita probably reached this level. I don't think the president needed to talk to her. But also, remember that the president is an intelligence officer of a long period of time. I think even when he praises you, that you are clever, you are entrepreneur level, skills good, probably is letting you lower your guard. It lowers you so that you expose yourself to the fullest. You remember in 2014, before the president removed Right Honorable Mambazi, he actually praised him.
Praised her.
No.
Praised the mama.
Honorable Mama.
Oh, yes.
Actually, we were in a meeting. I said, some people bring for me rumors that Honorable Mama has these ideas. Only for us to see 13th September, he was chopped. So I think...
I remember even before chopping Kaihura.
So I think some people are not very, very sophisticated, I mean politically, especially in the working of the president, underestimate how much he knows, and he takes decisions at a point when he knows nobody will have sympathy, or very few people will have sympathy with you. And therefore,
Correct.
You cannot mobilize against him or against NRM. And that's a skill, I think, which is very good for a leader. I see my brother, Besigye, praises Museveni on his strategic understanding of people. When he meets even once the first day, you give him 30 minutes, he will look at this way. Since we began elections in 2001, at least the election I was directly involved as a spokesperson of that election. Each time we conclude elections, there are people who buy mansions. There are people who they divert election campaign money. And he complains publicly, say, these people have cheated my money. And he says, I am going to do a commission, an inquiry. He doesn't do. And that has gone on and on and on. But we have noticed that each time he has been changing people who want the money.
I need to tell our viewers that we're now crossing to
Yes, he has been changing people. But
That's
I
not,
mean-
no. That's not what I'm doing. You are getting my point wrong. I'm simply saying that the issue we are facing about Anita, her problems is not simply because she's torn. I'm simply saying that the critical issue in this saga is that she had accumulated a lot of power that threatened Museveni's power. She had accumulated a lot of influence that threatened Museveni's power, or at least created the potential for her to be a threat in the future, and Museveni needed to neutralize her. I don't deal with those other simple things, and I'm not creating a more equivalence. Mwenda may have accumulated a lot of power, but not rather a lot of money, stolen a lot of money, but not threatened Museveni's power. Museveni is a power maximizing political entrepreneur.
So the key denominator here is once you bid for power in NRM,
yes,
it's a sin.
So I'll give you an example. Among the people who have become so powerful in Uganda, take an example of Kale Kaihura. How did he end? Kale Kaihura I felt was a very loyal person to Museveni, and up to now I believe so. Would never have threatened Museveni's power. But Museveni was convinced that he had accumulated a lot of influence that could give him capability to seek the presidency. Amama Mbabazi, the same thing. All of them ended in being fought.
Bukenya.
Bukenya, yes, exactly. So where Anita Monga felt, although I think she's so politically brilliant, what she failed to do is she believed, I think because in her heart she felt she was loyal to eternity, to Museveni for eternity. She did not put herself in Museveni's shoes to say, if you have this mastery of the whole parliament, mastery of the NRM infrastructure, mastery of different institutions of state and society, that this can create potential for Museveni to fear you.
But how in the first place did President Museveni allow her to accumulate all this power?
She accumulated it because she was doing his bidding. Anita Mongo would never have accumulated that amount of power if she was not helping Museveni achieve his ends. So if you're in Museveni's shoes, there are people you use. In trying to use them, they may accumulate a lot of power. Because for you to be able to control that parliament, you need to have a sizable influence. Because what she was doing in parliament, she was not doing it for Anita Mongo, she was doing it for President Museveni. So that's the contradiction of power that Anita Among found herself in. What she was doing in the house was to achieve Museveni's ends. But in trying to achieve Museveni's ends, she accumulated a lot of influence. That influence became a threat to her boss. Then her boss said, I'm clipping your wings. So he will raise another person, and that person will fall.
So this is a Museveni-Anita war, right?
I think that is the fundamental. The fountain matrix of this struggle is Museveni trying to clip the wings of a person who had the potential to become a rival. I told you there is a convergence of different but compatible pursuits. There is Muhoozi's pursuit of corruption. We must clamp down on corruption. And there is Museveni's pursuit of power. I must clip the wings of any person who has potential to become a rival. These are two different, but they are compatible interests or compatible pursuits. So it is not that each one of them is acting with the same motive. Muhoozi's motive is clear. Ostentatious display of luxury and wealth by a public official is unacceptable.
Yeah, but why
Museveni wouldn't mind that.
He be the one pursuing people who have accumulated? We have systems, we have institutions in place.
Well, let me tell you first. Actually, I'm happy to have come. That's the point I was trying to raise earlier. That there is widespread frustration in Uganda with the conduct of politics in our country, and Muhoozi's actions have generated mass excitement. People are so happy in Uganda, and I'm telling you, you'll be surprised.
I'm listening.
You can do a poll right now. Muhoozi is the most popular human being in Uganda.
I need to zoom out on the reaction of all.
Yes. I think right now Muhoozi is the most admired public figure in Uganda because they feel he has slain a beast of corruption. So if you're blind to that fact, this country one of these days, and its democratic institutions will collapse on our heads without recognizing what has happened. Right now, these people were in Chankwanzi. Let me show you my criticisms of this great man called Yoweri Museveni. Opondo was in Chankwanzi with MPs of NRM. Museveni said, okay, all of you have been in campaigns, you are suffering from a lot of dust, I'm going to give them some allowance. I'm going to give each one of you 100 million. So they left there, they came to Kampala here, they went to State House there at the Okello House. Each of them was given 20. Tomorrow they have a caucus meeting. They're likely to get the balance of 8 or they get 50. Museveni has been using money to duplicate policy. This is a disaster of what he has introduced. Now, of course, I don't want to be unfair to Museveni. Democratic politics is built around money. There is an American philosopher called Will Durant. He said there are 3 forms of government known to man. Theocracy, ruled by religious clerics, aristocracy, ruled by birth, and democracy, ruled by money. If you look at the last US election of 2024, 88% of the senators who won the election used more money than their rival who lost. 93% of members of the House of Representatives who won an election had spent more money than their rival. Meaning, okay, let me put it so, I'm conscious of the fact that it is possible, we do not know the cause of the chain of causation. Is it that the use of money is what creates political success? Or once people see you as a potential winner of an election, it attracts money to you. So is popularity a magnet for money, or is money the driver that makes people win elections? But what I would say, the two are self-reinforcing. So money has become such an entrenched part of Uganda's politics. Not because it's dictatorial politics as many Ugandans think, but because it's a democracy in a very poor country. This Opondo here, this Salam Musumba was an MP. Ask her. If you're an MP, you will find that your constituents, when you go there, they have a funeral. They want you to transport the body, maybe buy a coffin, pay for the expenses. They have a church fundraising, you have to pay. You can go and run for elections. You know these problems. They have, a child doesn't have fees. This one has a medical problem. They come to you. So members of parliament are inundated with demands from their constituents to give them money. In elections, there is a demand for money.
Right.
So members of parliament end up depleting their assets, depleting their savings in order to win elections, and they try to recoup that money through parliament, how either they lobby to be appointed ministers so they can have access to bribes, or they sit on a powerful oversight committee of parliament, where civil servants can bribe them who come to appear there to have their budgets approved, or their financial indiscretions covered up in the public.
Mwenda, do you find Anita's accumulation of wealth to sickening proportions disgusting, or it's just...
I am morally revolted by Anita Mong's ostentatious exhibition of wealth, even though I'm conscious of the fact that people have stolen much more money than her in Uganda. Yes. I find it morally revolting. But I tell you, Kagwanjala, me as an individual, I try to separate my personal feelings, my morals, from my analysis. Because I put myself in the shoes of politicians. That's why I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of Museveni and recognize that Museveni himself faces a dilemma. Why is he giving these people money? Why is he giving them money? Because he wants them to vote the way he wants. Democracy is about buying support. You see, there are three pillars of power. There is the power of ideology. That is the power to persuade. Then there is the third pillar, the second pillar of economic power, the power to bribe. Then there is a third power, military power, the power to coerce. I can convince you through ideological suasion. I can bribe you by gifts and money and things, or I can force you to toe my line using military power. Now, Museveni abandoned ideological power and has largely relied significantly on the power to bribe, which takes 60% of his effort, the power to coerce, which takes 30%, the power to convince is now 10%.
Well, thank you. Honorable Salam, do you imagine that the internal foundations of the NRM have now been shaken to the core by this scandal and by the way Anita Mong, a very influential figure who rose through the ranks at a very meteoric rate?
You see, the NRM as you knew it, as the movement,
NRM.
it's still the NRM. You know, even they stole the name.
There's NRM, there's the...
They even stole the name. So, the journey, the political journey, the genesis of what we are talking about, the political animal we are talking about, has facets that need more time to discuss. But the foundation of NRM is shaken and is stumbling because, one, they have gone against their own internal rules. If you remember the Honorable Rebecca Litwala Kadaga in the contest for SEC, said that their rules indicate that you must have been a member for 10 years.
Where
now,
is that?
in their rules, in your internal rules,
No.
I'm talking about what I had.
Okay.
And so,
No.
they overrun that in their internal rules. So they're working on a ruleless way. When you look at their SEC, there's rumor in town that their SEC is even bribable. Their SEC is bribable.
The top organ.
That top organ is bribable. That's the talk in town. Not even for big money, for $10,000 to endorse people. So, following what Mwenda is talking about the democracy of rented support, of the highest bidder, that's where we have brought ourselves to. So, there's nothing, and NRM has spent more time, instead of building itself and securing itself in internal processes, building a cadreship and all that, they've spent it trying to kill other parties, spent it looking to steal people from other political parties. Now they've run dry. I'm glad they've been outfoxed by their own wayward procedures, that they have come now full square to look at themselves in the mirror and wonder where they are at. They are wondering loudly the way we have wondered. And so we are at the same spot, the same ugly political spot as a country. If the biggest party, as it claims to be, is this messed up?
Claims or is?
Claims. Because you cannot have all that, all those numbers and fail to govern. You have failed to govern. That's why you have orders coming from another quarter where you have a fully employed secretariat. What is that secretariat for? It's the political dialogue, the ideologue of the whole enterprise. But what are they saying? They are doing the good manners. They're like priests. Oh, we are going to talk about that one. They don't offer any political direction as an entity that should be doing so. You have your entire membership in the countryside lost and not found. They are also wondering what has happened to their party. One has asked me, we elected NRM. How come it is PLU giving us orders? What has happened? They are wondering, they elected another president. Do they have another one now? These questions are out there in the public, stated in a simplified way, but they mean the heart and soul of the confusion that we are at. Listening to Andrew here, Andrew, you have lost the plot. Whatever you are plotting,
What
you've
was
lost
the plot
it.
anyway?
Good question.
The plot was transition. It is transition trying to displace NRM and replace it with PLU.
And what have we lost?
And determining the leadership.
Yeah, but
And-
it's
and
now,
setting new-
It's now clear that
It's
PLU
not,
is
it's not
setting the
clear yet.
agenda.
Listen, it's not
and
clear
NRM
yet.
is playing second fiddle.
So let me ask, why is NRM calling for all these meetings that it should have called for earlier on? Why? You put the cart before the horse?
to implement the directive of PLU.
Of PLU, and this is what we are waiting to see. You see, we are also jumping ahead of ourselves. The whole plot will come full circle on Sunday, and I will be in the city just at close range to see and hear what is going to befall the NRM.
Well,
because the NRM has rejoiced when it's breaking our parties. It has rejoiced. OO here has been at the head of
Yes.
it. And I want you
I
to
have been
know,
participating in breaking.
you've been
yeah.
participating in breaking. Now you are breaking your own neck. And we are happy about it.
Well, in the midst of the storm, Anita
Yeah.
Mong came out and publicly withdrew from the race for speakership. How does it change the dynamics?
That's not how they withdraw. Because in the first place, the NRM had not indicated, had not called for interest, expression of interest. It hadn't. You know, they've been playing in the corridor. They've been doing all the mucky things that now that they have failed, everybody has failed to benefit from the muckiness. They must go back to the rule-based order of the party, if they have any rules. So everything we are going to see by the close of the weekend.
So could this be a precursor of more drama that the country is going to witness going forward?
Yes, it is inevitable. The minute you amended the Constitution to remove term limits, you closed the door for a smooth transfer of power. When you added the removal of age limit, you left this country to run amok, and now the reality has dawned on you that a transition must happen, and the one provided for constitutionally of no limits, of no terms, does not provide a secure way of giving the power back to the people who want it.
I'll ask the same question to OO. Could the current state of things be a precursor to more drama or more reality of the new politics playing out within the NRM?
Well, let me first respond to my
Grandfather.
I like saying is my grandfather. That's okay. I will take it. NRM has been on the steering wheel for 40 years. There are many institutions who have restructured government, who have created new institutions. NRM, therefore, cannot have an excuse that we are the ones who wrote the Constitution, the laws governing the judiciary, and so on. We cannot run away from the standard of the law we established for investigations.
You know, whenever he talks about standard of law,
Yes, yes.
He reminds
Standard-
me that Dr. Besigye
Standard-
is in Luzira.
I'm talking about entire governance. I have been on this show and said we cannot be the ones being accused of doing the things that Amin was doing or Obote was doing. Therefore, it is an indictment on the NRM and leadership of NRM to say that, you see, we can, in a democracy, we cannot plug the loopholes where people carry out abuse and corruption. No. If we think that the police, which the laws of Uganda gives powers to investigate and bring to the fore these issues, let us write a new law and say we are now giving it to the army. And that the army, the head of the army will be the one directing criminal investigations in Uganda. And that will be the law. Then we move with it. Then everybody knows in Uganda we have said police can't do anything. It is only the army. That's what we should do.
Disband the police.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or create a new one. But we cannot say the police is one which has power to investigate corruption and so on. It is the judiciary which has powers to try and so on. And then we subvert their power and give to other people. No. That's not acceptable. And I think this parliament has the body now. I would implore my colleagues that we need to retrace where NRM.
Which colleagues are you talking about?
In Parliament.
The colleagues who will be summoned and the following day they turn up in numbers.
No, you can,
falling all over themselves.
You can lose steps backwards and also move backwards. You can break and build. I would want that out of all this, probably we can have a conversation about a new convergence on how we should do things. Because you are talking about Besigye. I agree that we let Ugandans down when we are raising issues of Besigye. Because now somebody looking at casual and says, if they can surround the home of a speaker who left a day ago, search her premises without a warrant, such warrant.
In full glare.
Global glare.
Yes. And they did, because I think they were doing it. I don't know whether they want to write a film. I don't know. These guys who are doing those. Somebody will ask, how about a small man in Namwendwa, in Muranda? How do state operatives, state institutions, handle them when they find themselves in the midst of this kind of accusation?
But the special...
So I don't agree with you, Mr. Mwenda, that you are saying that we should now accept as normal that the armed officers are the
Yeah, but Mwenda says the CDF is getting applause for...
Well, I suspect this also is being done probably to get generate pseudo popularity, so that when that time for transition, they say, so this is the man. This is the person, no, these are the people who saved us. You remember Magufuli when he was Minister of Works in Tanzania? But good enough for him, he was a member of CCM, he was a civilian, and was therefore eligible to run in the CCM. Now, this is not the first time NRM is getting things wrong. We pride ourselves that often we eventually find our way.
Yeah, but I think it's also a rude awakening to the NRM.
Yeah.
NRM saw the rise of Anita Among and her primitive accumulation
not
to the chagrin of so many Ugandans.
No, not rise. Shepherd. Because the mother here has told you, the person who gave Anita Among, when she was not even NRM, leeway to conduct special operations, critical operations on behalf of NRM, on behalf of the president, was the leader of the NRM. So Anita did not rise just by herself. Today, when I visited her, she actually told me, I asked her, this thing you wrote on Twitter, climbing down, recanting your endorsement that you are no longer interested. She said, yes, I'm the one who wrote. I even sent a WhatsApp message to my brother Oboto, who appears to be now enjoying both the NRM and PLU support. I texted him and I said, I am going to support you. And then she added the rider to me. She said, I wish I would be in the caucus and actually parliament. I want to be the one to nominate Opondo. Because then she said, I am the second national vice chairperson of NRM. During the campaign, I'm the one who said we shall only campaign for the official candidates. If NRM has shifted its preference to Opondo or any other candidate, I will go by that candidate. That's what she told me. I will go by that candidate.
Among is under house arrest, isn't she?
No, to the best of my knowledge. I said here earlier on that I was not checked, at least when I went there, and I was not the only one there. I found other people.
Was she invited to caucus?
They have invited all members of. For us, we invite by all of us are on the WhatsApp platform of the government office of the government chief whip. They don't give individual invitations. At least me, that's how I was invited. I want to believe. And I know for sure that she's with us on the same platform of the government chief whip.
Would you rather she's invited to make her case?
That's a caucus can't be a court to listen to criminal accusations or allegations. No. So I wouldn't recommend that should be. Because it is the state accusing her. It is not NRM accusing her of breaking the moral code in the NRM constitution. No. If it had been NRM Todong charging her, yes, maybe. But even then, NRM has a disciplinary committee at the national level chaired by Haji Moses Chigongo. But since this is a state action, it should be the state, shouldn't come to the NRM caucus. And since she's not physically charged and sent to a prison, she is therefore available if she so wishes to come. And maybe if she says, I'm going to the caucus, we want to see. Is there police at her gate preventing her from coming? Then we shall say, why is she not here? But at least for me, she says she would want to make that case for Opondo or any other candidate that sake of NRM, where she is a member. I'm waiting to see, because SEC is sitting tomorrow.
Yeah, but the Madam Speaker and Deputy is now fait accompli.
No.
It is?
No. Please, I am using the word secretary. Don't insist if you don't know. At least listen. SEC has been summoned tomorrow to review. No. To review the endorsement that had been made. Should they vary, then it will direct Tango Doi now to open call of interest. We call it call of interest, expression of interest.
Expression of interest.
And then we can use tomorrow and Saturday for NRM MPs who are eligible to go and pick those forms.
But can a seemingly lame duck SEC veto a position of the CDF and his father?
Well, as far as I know, the Constitution of Uganda and the Constitution of NRM, SEC is not under the CDF. But any other person, not just the CDF, anybody can hijack SEC if they are asleep. I don't want to believe that SEC is asleep. I want to believe that the meeting called tomorrow, knowing what, and more so now that Anita herself has said she no longer wants to be in contention. And as I said here, I'm not privy if she has formally written to the chairman of the Electoral Commission, the Secretary General of NRM, or even the national chairman, that I'm no longer interested.
Do you think she was under duress in writing this?
I did not ask her if she's under duress, but I asked her if she is the one who wrote. And said, yes, I'm the one who wrote, and I'm going to support a candidate brought to us in the caucus by SEC. Now, I want to believe that that meeting tomorrow is actually going to review and come up and direct Tango Doi, the chairman of our Electoral Commission, to open the gate for new people. As far as I know, Opondo is actually, because of those, because some politics is done on the top, some is done in the ground, I'm also privy that Opondo is also doing his footwork, like many other people are doing their footwork, because after all, we only have 3 days to go. So, I'm sure that SEC tomorrow is going to vacate its earlier endorsement made in February, and therefore allow people to come up. It appears to me also, because I was in Parliament the whole of today, I was in Parliament the whole of yesterday, I am on many platforms of the NRM MPs, convergence, even when steps were jumped or we were directed by PLO, it appears to me that there is a convergence indeed around Obote Obote.
You are an NRM historical. How do you feel that now NRM is working, being unprecedented, left, right, and center?
See, NRM has absorbed many people. Sometimes, many of them probably don't have the ideological orientation of the NRM, but they're in charge. That's a fact of life. Even in your own home, your children will say, "No, you're not going to sell this piece of land," because they've been influenced either by the mother or by the father that we don't sell the land. And so that's a fact of life. Now, is NRM having capability to say, "No, we were going wrong, let's move"?
So the party is in dire straits now.
No, if it was in dire straits, it wouldn't be convening its sake, and it wouldn't be doing what I'm telling you, that certainly I know, that most likely they are going to vacate that endorsement. And the beauty of this one now is that we are not in the situation of 2021. You remember we were in that situation in 2021 with the Right Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga. Anita Mong, at least what she told me and what you yourself have quoted, appears to me to have seen that probably she can't fight back, because according to what she said, it would be detrimental to the party if she fought back. She seems to be accepting her place.
Cowed into accepting.
No. When I was speaking to her, there was no gun on her head. She seems to me to have accepted that situation, that her candidacy for speakership of the 12th Parliament is no longer tenable. I think that would be the right phrase to use. And therefore, I think that's even why she sent that statement. And by the way, I even asked her, "I'm going on to the show. Would you want me to repeat what you have said on the?" She said, "Yes. I can't go back on my words. I've already written, I've already been talked to, I've sent a message to both. I can't go back on my word. I'm not interested." And then she added, "I have achieved more than I bargained for." Who knew that me, after just 3 months in NRM, I would be elected a deputy speaker? And within 2 months, on the basis of unfortunate incident of our senior dying, I would become the speaker. So I have achieved more than probably I bargained for. And in fact, she then told me that.
So she's been humbled.
Yeah. So yeah, she has. Yeah, I think I want to use the word. She has accepted that her candidacy for speaker is no longer tenable. And then she even told me, said, "By the way, even in 2021, when Olanya died, Jacob, I had declined to run to replace him." She said she was persuaded by, I want to say, by Honorable Mao, this is what she told me, and by another person from that area who was very powerful, and others. She said she was persuaded. She did not want, but this is what she said.
Well, we'll take a very short break.
And so that acceptance of her, I think, gives NRM